Welcome back. This is still the Polity reaching you live from Abuja. All right, now we'll head straight into the conversation. I'm in the studio now with Barrister Oladotun Hassan. He's here to speak on the state of the nation and some issues bordering on the polity. Good afternoon and welcome to the program.
It was a pleasure to be on your program.
Right. So let's start with the issue that's still making the waves even after a couple of days now, which is the 500 billion naira that has been earmarked for COVID-19, for removal of fuel subsidy palliatives. We are hearing that the government is saying about 12 million households or so will get 8,000 naira each. What's your take on all of this?
Well, I think we have to be specific because there are two issues. There is the issue of the $800 million for households and all that, and there is the issue of the palliative for in view of the fuel subsidy removal, which we've always been advocating for. The need for government to really cushion the spiritual effect of the fuel subsidy removal is very imminent and immediate, and we must give enormous appreciation to the responsive interest of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to have taken the bull by the horn in reacting spontaneously by applying to the National Assembly to give a nod for the 500 billion out of the 2022 appropriation budget to be earmarked for the palliatives, and meaning is to stabilize the spiritual effect, is to stabilize the country, is to ensure that the pains and as regards how they are going to go about managing it is another different thing. The major important thing is the fact that money is already earmarked and proper appropriation is ongoing already. Then we want to, and that's why it's very important the president come up with his ministerial leave, because these are duties of ministers to really begin to fix their situations, because these are, not duties specifically for special advisor. These are duties that some specific ministries must take budget and be able to give account for whatever that is being carried out by their ministries or departments or MDAs, because we believe that the president knows what is to do, but in view of the fact that a whole lot is being expected from all Nigerians, just as we have advocated, you should focus more on the issue of transportation, easing the transportation fears, and also there must also not just the fact that the 500 billion will meet this entire thing, because I don't see it meeting the entire challenges of all Nigerians, but there must be strategic interventions in area of provision of road, provision of vehicles that will ease transportation. Then the government can as well run in partnership with ARCW or RETAN and all these road transport union workers on how best can they cushion their activities, how best can they manage the excessive price control when it comes to transport fare, so that the money will not just be dumped into wastages. So the government, if the government is going to be acquiring new vehicles, at what price will the passengers, will they not still be run by the same set of people? Why not government go into partnership with these transport workers? Is have a meeting with them on price reduction? And if they are going with price reduction, okay, this is what we are doing within this period, then there must be proper data annexation and registration of all the transporters, so that we don't come up to managing the new vehicles. At the end of the day, a whole lot will still be affected. What about the old vehicles? What about the current government vehicles that we have? What about the government intervention transportation schemes we have in Lagos, we have in Lamata, we have all these agencies in other states? Government needs to partner with the local government and the state in ensuring that to easing transportation effect will be properly managed, as well as issue of food supply. I've just advocated that in view of the fact that the presidency is declared state of emergency on food security, these are vital areas that immediate interventions must be addressed to the poor, the poorest. So we need to begin to see how to ease the challenges of the low-income earners. How do we ease the challenges of artisans? How do we ease the challenges of market women? So we have a whole number of issues. So if on the altar of supply for market women, the government is going to intervene in using food supply from the chain, from the supply chain of the from farms to the market. If the government is intervening, then that will reduce price on food cost in the market. So the government needs to really prioritize its economic plan, so that the money will not just be a voicemail that Nigerians will just see that money has been appropriated and we don't feel the impact of the money. So there must be representative interventions. So government need not look out for too many things. What is government going to do? Set out a National Transport Fare and Parks Management Authority that will manage transportation and set out a model of price control, so that every citizen, as far as the Nigerian country is concerned, an average transporter sees our misadventure as his own advantage. So, and there is no way that transportation will keep maybe going up. It will never come down, even if there are reduction sometimes during agitation of fuel increase. No matter how the citizen go on the street to advocate, the same price measure that the transporter have already paid, if the fuel was reduced as at then, they don't reduce their price. So if the government is not coming in to set out the National Transport Fare and Parks Management Authority Board that will in every local government work with the Ministry of Transportation, set out this board to at every parks.
This will work in different states.
Definitely it will work. If there is the national policy plan, because I don't want the money to just be shared and we don't feel the impact. I've just given how the government can work. They don't need to go and acquire buses, because 500 billion cannot acquire buses across the country and ease our transport. Let them work with registered transporters, then have a special price control, then minimize excesses at the parks that will hinder the progress of this policy. Then if the government is not coming in, is the government coming in intervening to the transporters through their union and the drivers? How much will they be entitled to? What average are they going to be entitled to monthly? So even if they are getting something to supplement their own daily maintenance, because for you to really put 500 billion to say, okay, that will cushion the entire effect, to amount to zero. If there's no proper management of 500 billion for 200 million citizens, it will amount to zero.
But what you are describing now, do you think it can be done without, at the end of the day, paying the same amount we were complaining about paying for subsidy?
No, the issue of subsidy is a different ball game. There is a huge criminality attached to subsidy gamut itself. So we cannot compare the excessive, subsidy is more or less like a windfall of taking care of few oligarchs at the expense of national interest. Now, what I want the government to do is work with the state governors, add up to their monthly allocation. Let there be governmental intervention across boards and with specific area of cost mitigation. So, in view of the emergency situation, government can still do something tangible. Government can still annex something tangible to how best can we intervene. Okay, if there are food supply, okay, we are getting 1 million bags of maybe 10 million bags of rice for 10 million households. We know that will go a long way. Or this is just where we can acquire, okay, if it is 5 kg, if it is this. Because if even there is food supply, not everybody will go to queue for the food, but they are poorest of the poor who needs this intervention. They will go to the low cost maybe to the suburbs across the country. The government knows how to manage this. There is a way they can manage it through the local government structures. You do not bring the entire Abuja to the local government now because you want to share bags of rice or beans or fuel or kerosene or something. These are interventions government can do. Government can say, okay, at this local government, we are distributing this. Even if everyone does, at least some certain percentage of people will gain from it. If it is this intervention, okay, we are distributing 5 kg of gas to household, we know that this is an intervention. It will ease. It's something to ease, not to cure. It can't cure our poverty level. It can't even in any measure. What will cure our poverty level is revolution, economic revolution in the area of agriculture, IT, education, health, infrastructural development. If the government is prepared, and that's why I'll draw the government attention to the issue of the $800 million loan. For this not to be and to go the same way, the Sukuk loan and so many other loans we cannot account for. The way loans are being mismanaged in this country is another topic for another day. But for this loan of $800 million not to be mismanaged, I will not want to opt for the same cash money transfer, which the presidency is not going to go on money transfer. But listening on their recent approach of 8,000 naira per household for the next 6 months, to me, I don't see any effective amelioration through that effect. It's going to amount to politicians and some demigods taking advantage, submitting fictitious names to collect the same money or bringing names and sharing the money from the beneficiaries. It will now become another stalemate. So, but if the presidency takes up $800 million, $800 million can call off poverty by half. If you just get $800 million now share by each geopolitical zone, what are we going to be addressing? Every zone has its own specific area of intervention. If it is Southwest, okay, let us maybe develop the IT world, develop the agricultural world, develop some progressive thing that can double the amount with profit in the next 6 months. Not that the fact that you drop the money and the next 6 months give account for the money, you now be telling us stories. We are talking about 6 months to exhaust $800 million. Why not do a project? Invest in human capital development. Once you invest in human capital development, the spiral effect, even if it is full manufacturing, even if it is manufacturing industries that we're going to partner with, that youth will get engaged. If it is agriculture, support farmers and let us know that yes, you are doing road to the farmland, you are easing their chain of supply, their silos. These are things money can develop. Then,
but just to cut in,
let them work for
I think is the quickest of them all. You know, because a lot of what we've been hearing takes a while. Whatever the government wants to do. Take for instance the praise and the kudos that the Buhari administration gets for infrastructure, even though there was a lot of borrowing involved. It is believed that the infrastructure in the long run will pay off for itself, so to speak. But we start to wonder: are there things that can show Nigerians immediate sign of progress?
Yes, there are a lot. Nigerians are not lazy people. Yes, we must give kudos to the Buhari administration. There are a lot of advantage of infrastructural progress that the country was able to attain under his watch. It's just that the way the concentration of projects are, there's no proper harmonization of us knowing what and what, monitoring those programs and projects in an holistic manner. But at least we can still mention Second Niger Bridge, though the Ibadan Expressway is yet to be completed. We still have one or two elsewhere, but at least East-West Road is there. We can still make mention of some staples, but that's a long-term effect. We are talking about immediate. We have a prepared population. What is the government supposed to do? Set up a think tank. This is not money we go and obtain as a loan. Remember, if we are obtaining this money and the way it's now being shared, there's no, for example, the current loan we are BVN has not been harmonized together. It's not been properly synergized. So if our name and BVN is synergized with our INEC registration card, and we have a seamless data plan for all citizens, whereby citizens' mode of income can be able to be distinguished from the rich and the poor, not just all the entire population. By virtue of scaling our population and measuring our population, there must be data plan first. But without data plan, that 12 million the presidency is looking for will be a voicemail that you cannot be able to account for those citizens physically. Some people, we have a measure in this country whereby there are fictitious population in records that are collecting money day by day. We cannot continue to rejig failures. All we need is that presidency must set out a think tank, economic think tank. Yes, he has one that are harmonized, but when it comes to local intervention programs of this nature, it needs to work directly with organizations, with unions, with a lot of structures within the chain bracket of the economy, so that it's not about doling out money, it's about investing into the population and looking out for expectations. So this will go a long way if the presidency set out a plan, prioritize areas of intervention. Food supply, I've already mentioned, I cannot, if for the fact that the presidency have said food security, that should be a major focal point, because a lot of hungry people are outside there. There's nothing stopping presidency spending more, and we are seeing physical interventions. You know that, you go through some measures of your local government, yes, you are entitled. This is not party members to be shared alone, for citizens. If it is for citizens, it's not for party members of APC to just write their own list of beneficiaries and that will be equated to the all Nigerians. No, enough of deceit. For the fact that we are on a renewed hope, we are hoping for a hope that we've never achieved before. So there was never a hope. We are just trying to renew the whole hope of 93, which MKO said, okay, food for all, ending poverty. Those are the agenda that we are renewing. So if we are bringing this agenda, our hopes will not be dashed on the altar of mediocrity. There are a lot of politicians there who are wolves, a lot. So the human danger is my fear, not because that the presidency Mr. President does not have good heart. Yes, he has said he's not coming to steal our money, that maybe the family is well enough according to the first lady, but we cannot keep short. We are the citizens. We are the mouthpiece of the citizens. I speak for and on behalf of all ethnic nationalities in this country. So, for the fact that I am admonishing the president, I love the president, I want him to succeed, I must equally tell him the truth. The fact that this money has been earmarked by the outgoing administration, there must be review of structures of how the money is to be administered, so that this is not part of budget. The money we are talking about is not part of budget. So how are they going to manage this World Bank money so that we don't fall prey of just managing a loan with for the next 100 years? We'll be paying for the failure of what they are to do with this kind of mismanagement, because I will call it proper mismanagement, because we are just planning to fail if we go by that route of distributing money per household. But if the government aggregates regions, let us say, okay, 500 million, $600 million, first 100 million to each region, then sit with those regions. What is the area of priority? Let the citizens let there be conversation of what you want to do with money, so that every eyes and every hand will be on deck, so that proper transparency and monitoring will be ensured. Everybody, when you know that, okay, this is the amount we have, okay, how do we add up? Because that money itself is not enough. How do we add up from our monthly allocation? How do we add up from our state IGR? How do we now harmonize with this money that is coming, so that the money will not just stand alone and you think that money will clear all our problems? No, it's not a stand alone, it's not a one size fits all. So I believe that if proper pointers are being drawn, let Mr. President begin to review the budget, to situate with monies that is around recovered loot, Let us have accountability for what we are doing. Let this nation not be governed on the premise of oligarchy system or kakitocracy, whereby everything is all about force without us going through due process. We are used to that approach. Fire brigade approach, no accountability after the intervention. Look at how much was wasted during the distribution of money cash transfer. Look at how much was wasted under the Jonathan era, under the same cosmetic programs. Cosmetic programs in the world we are have not solved our problem. Rather, it will begin to expand our poverty line. What we need, how best can we close the poverty line? Have an immediate economic plan. Set out your area of priority. If it is intervention, yes, you have already given a timeline to repair all our refineries. You want to block leakages of oil theft, meaning we'll be getting more revenue. Have we not been making profit from oil sales in the past 40 years? Are you just telling us that every of our earnings is just to be settling debt? When will we begin to gain from where we are selling gas? Is this profit just going into private pocket? Are we using our income to manage the few oligarchs? No. The government must set out a new paradigm. We are tired of listening to news, and all we get from the news is just some ill-motivated intent. So for me, the 500 billion, there must be proper distributive mechanism. Here we are aware that the National Assembly are also going to be getting some intervention to meet up with the administration. Yes. The NJC, the judiciary will also be getting to meet up with their interventions. This is not out of place if they are proper budget, because the same Senate, maybe these are new senators and new House of Reps, they cannot use their personal money to service the humongous duties they are being employed to do. Just like the presidency is working, they must also have an enabling working environment.
But to be fair, we hear a lot of sentiments, particularly from people, if not in government, sympathetic to government. For instance, we've heard comments like, must you eat rice? When the price of rice began to skyrocket in the last administration, another person said, must your children go to the most expensive and the best schools? The reason I point this out is that when speaking to citizens, we get this language as though the citizens should always be ready to sacrifice. Now, we've not gotten any indication that the budgetary allocation for the Senate, the House of Reps, executive, has in any way undergone some level of sacrifice, so to speak. Now, aside the 70 billion naira marked for working condition, as they call it, for the lawmakers, we know that sometime soon, about 40 billion naira will be expended on vehicles for these lawmakers. And when you break down the particular types of vehicles, they are all 2023 models, So one might wonder, don't you think perhaps the government can also show sign of sacrifice? Why not use a much older version of the cars, a much cheaper version? Does it reduce your capacity to do your work? This kind of things.
To me, I'm not going to be an advocate of irresponsibility or excessive executive recklessness or mismanagement of opportunities or privileged opportunity. Whoever that is in a House of Rep or a senator today is a privileged opportunity. It's not by rights. And there is nothing stopping through the administrative structure of the National Assembly, through the office of the clerk, to recover old vehicles, and the new senators make use of those vehicles. That these are government property, not private property. For the fact that you have come into government to serve, if you are not employed under civil service rule that you are supposed to be entitled to emolument and to me, I don't see the reason why a senator and House of Reps should be taking emolument just for serving us for 4 years. No, the only thing you can be entitled to is the grant of your office, maybe through whatever activities that you are doing post your tenure. So that should be the only grace that, okay, you already have experience. Where can you as well be opportunity? Maybe they can take you up as a consultant, and that you'll be paid for such tenure. But when you are not doing anything and you are being equated to somebody of 35 years in service, to me, I don't see any sense in that. Well, let me now draw us back to how we find ourselves in this cockpit of poverty and sickening ideology, that we must be fully comfortable so far that Nigerians, the masses must continue to grow lean and pauperize in order to sustain our over-bloated expenditure or the kind of ill range of the way we spend money in this country. I don't see any reason why we must go for that exorbitant expenses. It doesn't make any valuable sense, because we are still struggling nation. We are a struggling nation, for God's sake. Let nobody be deceived before that you are entering into that great chambers there, then the entire world is now eclipsed, different from the world that we are living. They want to make a different world out of where they find themselves. No, they should be able to have conscience. If they are being said, a lot of them are former governors, a lot of them have their source of income before they ventured into politics. Politics should not just be a means to an end to impoverish the nation. It should be a sustaining opportunity and base to manage the system. I don't see any reason for Mr. President to be acquiring new vehicles for his own office. The old vehicles, let them go into the parks, repair and use. The ones that are outdated, let them just auction it off. Then let them measure. There must be technical department managing this. So if you are a former House of Reps, so far those vehicles is for that constituency that you are coming to represent. So far you are coming to take up, or you are a continuing member. What about returning member? Are they going to the same vehicle they gain from Buhari administration? They will be added to their fleet of cars. These are wastages. We know there is a need for them to be taken care of, but it may not be in every situation.
So just to cut in there, something happened about a week or two ago. Senator Ogbewe Daniel, wrote a letter to Ogun State governor seeking to stop his pension from Ogun State, saying that now that he's a senator, he doesn't think it is fair or to the Nigerian people that he gets the benefits as a former governor while also receiving as a senator. Do you think maybe other politicians should start to emulate such actions?
Well, I must commend distinguished Senator Ogbewe Daniel, former governor of Ogun State, for coming out loudly to chorus a message. I see it as a message, not an act, because if you have to see it as an act, we have to read the political language and the entire spheres of what is happening in Ogun State, because they have a different species of challenge in Ogun State that we must understand. Their political body chemistry is different from the message and the messenger. So the message to all, which I believe, if that message is to really go down, if you are not collecting your emolument and everything from Ogun State, you must also take that drumbeat into the house to advocate for reduction in excessive spending, house allowance. If you want to get all these things, obtain a loan for it. If you are giving us a loan for education, let them also be obtaining loan for their own personal entitlement and services, or if they want luxury, let them obtain loan for it and let their salaries pay for it. So if they see all these things as being done, if citizens can pay for loan for education, house members can as well get loan to pay for their car allowances or for their car loan. If you want to buy a car, those cars should be given to them on loan. If the cars are given to them on loan, some of them will say, please, I'm not interested in that loan, because I know that for the entire period of my tenure, half of my salaries would have gone with how much is the left for me to manage myself, because they just want everything at their disposal with ease. They can just begin to give Mr. President nod for their own selfish interest. And that I know the Senate President has a good heart, is a man of experience, and so is the Speaker too. They need to show leadership. The country reads their body language. The country is bleeding, and they must read through the eyes of the people. We are not coming here to pat them in the back. Even if I have opportunity to be in government today, this will not change my motives. I want a better nation. I want a nation you and I can be proud of, and this is what Nigerians need. So Nigerians are tired. Let Mr. Gbenga Daniel take this chorus as the real messenger of goodwill on behalf of the country. Take this to Mr. President on cost reduction, on budget cuts, on how best to manage the system. Then this should not go as a message to former governors. You don't need to lean your state and whatever that is the case. You see how Zamfara is fighting their new governors about. They are pulling off resources and cars. What do you want to take 30 cars to do? You need this. Are you planning for a new government after you left office? So Nigerians really need development. We don't need this chorus of poverty in our nation.
Right, that's fair enough. You know, at the end of the day, we hope that our leaders take the lead in whatever they are advising of citizens when it comes to cutting costs and so on and so forth. But moving forward, you know, the ministerial list is still yet to be released. You know, at what point do you think it will start to look a bit late? Because we are seeing a lot of decisions being made in some key sectors. We had President Tinubu made major decisions on the economy in terms of the naira floats and so on and so forth. Now, you know, with the budgets that are being the issue of the budget and all that, this is also happening without a minister of finance. You know, so many of these things. At what point do you think it might start to be late for that list to appear, because it's making such major decisions, not sort of you know, continuing decisions from the previous administration? Some of them are drastically opposite to what the previous administration was doing. So when do you think it will start to look late?
Well, it's already, to me, it's already taking the shape of being late, because hitting the ground running without your full disciples beside you will just amount to an overstressed journey. Because if you are moving with all your full arsenals from beginning, I believe the way Mr. President is coming on board, I know there are some political personalities that it needs to really look deep to understudy. Appointment of ministers takes a huge consideration. But as far as we are concerned, within 30 days of coming into power, the president must come up with a list, even if it is first phase. Then there's nothing telling us that all ministers must be appointed at once. Let us have first phase of ministers, major key parastatals, finance, economy, housing. Let's know that we've already gotten, okay, we already have 12 ministers with the advisor already. Let those one pass. As we move, we checkmate those that needs to now come. But there are some critical sectors that move the economy as you are coming into power. And those ministries are very, very germane. That is Ministry of Housing, Defense, Finance. These are key ministry, foreign affairs. So we need to begin to manage ourselves. This is our country. We are not under any syllabus to say, okay, we must follow this prototype before we achieve and we get it right. To me, Mr. President needs to really act fast. The ministerial list should be sent with portfolios, so that we know, so that when they are going for screening, same question and answer will not just go to everybody, so that we can be able to identify their competency and capabilities. So to me, the list must come out. Let Nigerians begin to to verify and assess the so-be ministers, so that we don't just get caught in the web of, oh, these are still old wagons, and then no good to go leaders or looters. We don't want a mistake. We don't want anything that will bring, because the suspicion, Mr. President should have it at the back of his mind. We're only giving a benefit of doubt. We've been failed severally. It's just like you've been having a failed business for 6 decades. Now that's the kind of country we are managing. We have been having a failed successive administration in terms of transparency, in terms of deliverables, in terms of cushioning our poverty level. If this had been done 60 years ago, it will not be transmitted to another administration. Let this administration know that the next 4 years that is in power, or the next 8 years, this is what we need to get. So for me, Mr. President must come full-hearted. He has told us he's hitting the ground running, but there are some key decisions that cannot be taken all by himself, because if he's taking those decisions, it will come back to nosedive or have a negative repercussion on his administration. And for accountability's sake, and for those that are really watching him from behind and from the rear and everywhere, because he's at the center of African economy, is at the center of our local economy, and is at the center of global economy. So he's on the AU. So whatever that we are doing at the moment is very critical. So the emergency point of healing the home is very critical. First, they say charity begins at home. Let Mr. President take the bull by the horn. Make first set of appointments. If it is 12, he can get the 12. He knows those that he needs to get some things done. Let him put those on. Not everybody must, the former governors must come in and retire as a minister. Not everybody that is lobby on the lobbying list must not drag him of considering the merits. So he should know that, okay, there are some non important ministries. There are more pivotal and fundamental ministry. So let him take the fundamental ministry. Just as I've listed it: foreign affairs, defense, economic planning, youth development, agriculture. These ministries are very, very important. And finance. If you are not getting the finance, the issue of you having a CBN governor cannot be dealing directly with the president. There is a lot also for anomalies that is getting us to where we are, and we cannot be applying sentiment. Yes, Mr. President is from my region, but I don't want him to fail. I don't want him to fail. If people from the north fail to inform Buhari when he was in power, and they kept mute till the entire tenure, when see Mr. President, former Mr. President, we just saw him in Dara walking alone. That is to tell our politicians that there's 2 lives that they must learn to abide and live with. There will be a life that they will live all by to themselves, all alone, and their family, and the life of the estate of the nation. So if they fail to take care of us, we will also abandon them when they need us more. Nobody will be surprised that that's the way. Yeah, he can be a king in his own home, but it's not as much as we expected. That loud change mantra, that change mantra, that same thing that old promises of killing poverty, of ending terrorism. We know how much daily killings was going on under the administration. It took us tooth and nail to fight against Ruga. It took us tooth and nail. It was as if we are not fighting the government. So because some people kept mute and allowed their man to fail. But in our own turn, which is the Yoruba turn, we will not allow our own man to fail. And I have the responsibility as the President Yoruba Council Worldwide. It's my responsibility on behalf of my people. Whatever I'm saying is not because I want to impress somebody. Somebody might be impressed if I just come here, oh, don't mind them, these are political. I can also go down right, but it won't help us, because I have a family out there who will be affected by if there is wrong steps from Mr. President or our governors. So, however, let there be proper prioritization of humanity, service, and development. If our people, maybe all our politicians the appointees, there must be proper ideological school of thought. Asiwaju must be able to set his own school of thought that this is Tinubunomics, this is my own period, this is I want social justice right for all, and this is my body language against corruption. This is my body language to healing the wounds. When they know that this is the body language of somebody who is ready, everybody will kill him. But if the body language, you just open the flanks, weeds and termites will take advantage and predate over us. And we have suffered enough. We cannot rejig suffering under his administration. Let him not beg us to be too patient, but let him begin to heal. He has gotten 500 billion now. Let that 500 billion be transmitted to solving problems. If it is civil servant, if they need to get subsidy, palliative allowance, let us know that they are getting XYZ as their supplement to meet up. Maybe it's 5,000 naira palliative that is going to civil servant. That is accountable for. But if you are now saying you are throwing that money into a wound and some 12 million somewhere will pick it from their various wounds, that will amount to failure. And it will not be, by the time you are now called upon to account for it, it will be more of witch hunting then. It will now be transmitted to Yoruba people. We are fighting for a person because it's from us. No, I can't come back and begin to hate that thing I'm fighting against now. The earlier a president needs to succeed is from day one. Because from now, about over 40 days I've already eaten deep into his administration. If he's going to go for 4 years, he cannot get back the 40 days that is passed. So the next mode that is working at is the time is very important. It needs to know gestation period of you giving back to a child. There is also a need for that child to grow and also you get benefit. So within the space of 4 years, we want profit. In our democracy, we cannot be investing our vote year in, year out to be suffering and be having patience. We have patience with Jonathan era. We have patience with Buhari. For how long is our patience going to be taken for foolishness?
All right, just to quickly ask, when you talk about President Tinubu trying to reshape things in his own image and his own ideology, to what extent do you think he needs to look back or try to recover certain things? I spoke with a lot of presidential candidates leading up to the election, and some of them would say, once I become president, I would bring back every penny that has been stolen. I will do this, I will do that. Some persons even say that if they were going to remove fuel subsidy, they would ensure that all those, because everyone says it's a criminal arrangement, but nobody is bringing out those criminals. And people will say we would root out all the people responsible, they will pay for it. Do you think the president should simply look forward and what he can do and ignore whatever has been stolen, whatever has been taken, mismanaged in the country? Because as we know, 2 persons officially, we know that the president has made investigations to start. That's the EFCC chairman and the CBN governor. Do you think this is something that he should do on a wider scale, or would it take his time? Yes,
I've advocated that Mr. President should open his dragnet to audit the past administration and all MDs. By now, the EFCC docket and the police docket ought to have been filled up by now with investigation. There should be no room for any officials by now, from ICPC to EFCC to Code of Conduct Bureau. People ought to have been audited, and Office of the Accountant General and Auditor General should be filled with activities of audit. And auditing ought to start at least 90 days to the expiration of your tenure. So there must have been this auditing. Then by this administration just need to be receiving report of audit report. But because we are not a nation that is equipped intellectually with this area of solutions, people just want one size fit all situation to come. Yes, the angel is here, let him begin to say, I will cut the head. That's not administration. Every presidential person must have given all the promises. The reason why I support Asiwaju is because I know he has the intellectual capacity ab initio. I never minds my word while I was supporting him. And I'm still reiterating that I still have my best of support, even as it still stands, because I still have a pure mind that yes, he has a direction he wants to achieve. He might be trying to pluck all arms to really stabilize. But for me, let Mr. President prioritize his vision. Ending corruption is very key to all of us.
Going forward, or also trying to retrospectively fix some that happened in the past administration.
Yes, it must, because we are too shy away from our problems.
But just to, to ask, do you think it might distract him? Some
No.
people say it's a chase down the rabbit hole, trying to recover all
Sometimes,
those.
let me tell you one thing. We build our country around individual. We don't build it around institution. This duty of you cannot go to United States of America and expect U.S. Biden to now tell you don't commit this crime. That is always, the institution is there. If you go to India today, the institution is there. If you go to Chinese today, the institution is there. It's just for you to fit in into the... Mr. President himself must fit in into the institutionalized structure. So either is there as Mr. President, he needs not know the duty. He need not... You don't have to await the EFCC, the ICPC to do... There must not be... Sometimes there must not be a petition. Sumoto, they should be able to take up cases. So for him, it's not about witch hunting, so that he will not be tagged. The president is looking for Bawam, the CBN governor. For me, it's even too excessive to have kept both of them in cockpit without all of us knowing what is going on. Investigation must be transparent. Then going to court, we know the constitution, what it represents. Then if there must be placed under custody, there must have been a court order that gives the room for investigation. And it's also limited to some certain amount of days, 28 days, 21 days, 30 days. We know that this is what we are expecting, so that people will not begin to take those goodwill and misinterpret it to begin another albatross that you cannot cure yourself from. Rule of law is a two-sided of the coin. If you are not prepared for it, don't even go there to smell it. So now that we are all seeing there are different court orders trying to go to the DSS to release Emefiele, then if the DSS must take the bull by the horn, let them release Emefiele and still continue their investigation. If they have duty and right to investigate anybody. All citizens are under the law. There is no court of law that will stop you except there are infractions. But when there are no infractions, if you still find that the person is still there is a little amount of benefit of culpability, then you charge the matter to court. So then let the court be the final arbiter to look into. If it is maybe policy somersault or executive recklessness, there should be an administrative structure that will deal with the situation. So we must have measures to deal with every situation. We cannot say, okay, this must go the hard and fist way. No, we must also have ways of trying to address situation. Why I say the Mr. President must set out his priority is that let it not be that it's only there must be some sacred cows, because those sacred cows have gained the eyes of Mr. President. No matter how they are, start to cure from within. In Yoruba, they will say, meaning if you start using your home persons as samples, as a scapegoat, the outsider will be scared of committing similar outrageous or heinous act. So there must be deterrent. So, Mr. President, the entire box stops on his table. He must set a priority. He's not coming here to serve us forever. He should know that the opportunity God gives to him now is to begin to erect a new Nigeria. The responsibility is to reconstruct Nigeria constitutional wise. He has responsibility to reconstruct economic wise, sports, social life. Everything about our life must be reshaping. Our green passport must be given respect. We cannot just be having, we've had share of ECOWAS before under Obasanjo, we've had share of ECOWAS, AU and all that. How much has all those positions transmit to our immediate economy? So Mr. President must be able to go to international community and appeal. This is my problem. We are not too, let's not be too overbloated that we are yet a giant. We are just a giant in our own court. Let our giant come. Let us tell the whole world where the shoe pinches. So that interventions, economic plannings, the citizens are very hungry to work. Not angry. We are hungry to do things. We are hungry to better our lot. The amount of population that we have in this country, some countries are begging to have the weather condition. Everything is favorable to us, but leadership is our problem. If we can get the leadership right under this 10th assembly, under the Ashwaju administration, and with a standing order to governors, to House of Assembly, let all hands be on deck to put Nigeria first. That's
fair enough, and that's great. So in all of this you're saying, you've made a point that I think is very interesting here about the fact that this is a man you supported, and now that he's in power, you're not going to just coddle him.
I'm never going to give him that.
Yes. So if you are doing that, what do you expect from opposition, people who didn't even want him to emerge?
No.
How do you think they should?
No.
I'm not saying that. I just want to know how you think they can make the government better.
Let me now tell you, we have a very our mentally downtrodden opposition structures in this country that are just killing syndrome, just pulling down syndrome. That is not opposition. Opposition should come up with solutions and ideas. We've always leaned on the fact that opposition must be pulling down, and that's what we are saying. Most times I go to social media, everything I read from the Labour Party is just like nothing is happening in this government. You don't just go. I was just reading the DG of the Labour Party presidential campaign just 2 days ago, yesterday. The way it was just blabbing on the hair. We don't have to make a mess of our democracy before the open international community. I've been on our rise, and I queried the EU report that you don't just bring a well-cooked report being done by Yaga and so many other organizations that are just there working in aid of the Labour Party. It's as if everybody we can see is an eggshell interpretation. For the fact that we are wanting our democracy to grow, they must let us also have human face. Let us not see, oh, this is Igbo Yoruba war, this is ethnic war. We can read every meaning because this is an interpretation of what went on. We cannot just forget about yesterday. How we got to the level where that the Labour Party candidate was going through Christian, was saying, okay, Christian, this is your time, going to pastor, using altar. All these things are affecting us psychologically now. So, and there's no yet solution outside. What if the entire thing is decided in their favor? Do they think this other part that they've wronged, we forgive them easily? No. There will never be an easy plot for them to work on. They will make everything just as the way they are turning themselves on now. You don't turn yourself into a thorn in the flesh of government. Let the judiciary. Now, I blame the Labour Party. They are already going to say we are preparing for a run. When a court order have not really sanctioned, that is prejudicing the court. It's criminal. It's even treasonable felonious for you to admit a judgment that has not been decided, trying to now procrastinate because the government is taking money loans and to solve, that is preparation for a run. That's stupidity. That's political stupidity. You are only trying to railroad the psyche of your followers wrongly. And I don't see that as opposition. I see that as a dangerous, a melancholic and self-serving and selfish situation. And that is what the Obi people are doing. They are not ready to be a partner in progress for the nation. If Nigeria is to come first, they are supposed to also come up with economic solution. I've come here right now. I've not come to pat the president in the back. I'm a member of the party. I believe in the party because I must be participatory. I've run elections, so several times I want all of us to have that social justice mentality, not a mentality of I hate him and anything that comes from him. This is Nigerian to Nigerians. We are not talking to our aliens. So the citizens' affinity must not be broken by one man or by one period. If we allow it to sail through, it will take us many years to cure. And that's why I'm trying to guide my Eastern brothers. Don't be too overzealous. When God's time comes for you to serve, everything will work out together for you. You don't place yourself where God has not placed you. If it's God's decision to make you the leader, no matter anything, look at what Tinubu faced. Tinubu was facing internal anti-democratic opposition from his party. His party brought out so many things to be a plug in the wheel of him winning the election. They brought the change of currency, the increase in fuel, everything that we are suffering on today came as a result of the ill-motivated effect of the political party. But getting into party, he's not witch-hunting anybody. He has started well on a good note, reviewing and investigating, which is his duty. He's not taking it at all. Let me now do 5% or 90%. No, he's not a man like that. Tinubu, look at his appointment. From the service chiefs, we've had it in the time past. If it is not a northern man, you are not in Nigeria. But now we are trying to balance. And some people will still go somewhere and say the chief of naval staff is not an Eastern man, is a fake Igbo, because you heard the voice of the man, because he's coming up from a president who is prepared to serve. So for me, we must end this madness that is, if it's not the way we are being drumming the police. This is drum of war. These are symptoms of war. And if care is not taken, if you allow it to snowdive and snowball into full-blown and unmitigated crisis, those that are drumming the beat will regret it, because it would have been too late. Why would a political party go to the media through their chairman, Abume, that they should prepare for a rerun? And I call the IGP to investigate and arrest them. Let them also investigate the source of the EU report, because these whole documents are fashioned to just deliberately dampen our democracy. And I've argued it times without number that we cannot be running our democracy on these sentiments. We cannot. If you want to run a country on sentiment, go outside these shores, not here. We are now grown enough to have suffered, but don't take advantage of our suffering to your own political benefit. And that is why I'm standing against Atiku. They have benefited. This vote was spread across different lines and regions. Go to Eastern, the entire Obi swept 98% or even 100% of Eastern. Is that the way democracy is to be interpreted? Are you telling me they are not APC in those states? You guard them, you threaten them. You are not coming here to now tell us that you are a saint. When you now come to, you went to Ajawa State, somebody, an the leader, was blabbing on here that is going to import IPOB into Lagos. For what? Because of presidency that you just spent 4 years ago? It's not a birthright. It's never a birthright of anyone. But if opportunity is there for us to serve, let's give support. And that's where I'm standing. I'm calling on Nigerians, have a change of heart. There's still time for us to heal our nation. All our pastors must also change their drumbeat of preaching. The message must be clear. Nigeria first. If you have Nigeria first, we will now come back as brothers to cure our problems. Even if judiciary cannot solve our problem, we should have that psyche of coming down with our idols and solving our problems by ourselves.
That's fair enough. That's your commentary on the opposition. So now we just have about a minute left. I'd like your words to Nigerians out there, and how you think that they should take these information, take the instance of the $800 million loan and so on and so forth, and all you said here about how the government can channel those monies into something better. But when you're speaking to the Nigerian out there who is still feeling these effects, how would you say they should react to these things? How do you think they should navigate these times?
Local production. If you have, let the president invest more into our local production. Let's spend more of our naira to trade. Let's give life to our naira. Let's produce internally. Let's give local manufacturers life. Let the government use this intervention to support Manufacturing Association of Nigeria are there. Let there be a monitoring heights through the NJC, the journalists, lawyers. Let all of us have duty of care. So to me, I would still want to implore Mr. President that you must localize your solution. Once we started getting it right from the home and you are producing your oil, you are refining our oil here, and we are selling at our own price, our oil should not be more than 20 naira per liter. For us at the local market here, you must give us benefit of doubt that we are enjoying our legis as our citizens. We cannot sell the oil at 100 naira, at $100 per liter to any country. That is our property. But for us in the local market, we cannot suffer because of the international market and bring us into the fact that there must be importation. All this nonsense must stop. Then leakages. Presidency must be ready to wear a very iron fist to solving this problem. Not iron fist without democratic face. Making sure that every institution is given duty to operate with a matching order. Let us be having consistent media address, assurance every day. Not just stopping Mr. President after a day's work. Give us account for the week, for the day. Let's know what today has been. Give us an open-ended report of how you manage your day, who and who, what was discussed. Let us all be seen. You are a president through all Nigerians, not to few in the House of Villa. So I'm a voice to all Nigerians that let us take our responsibility as citizens. Let us sit back as the employer to now dictate to our employee, who is Mr. President, to tell him how we want things to go, not how he might feel those things will go and solve our problems, because we are partner in progress and not enemy of each other. So that's the best way, and I want to implore all of us, the patience is still very key. Let us patiently and cautiously await how things will be effectively carried out under the renewed hope agenda of President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's still my president. I love him. I want him to succeed, and he must succeed.
All right. On that note, we'll end the program. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much,
Barrister Hassan. It's been a pleasure.
It's a pleasure.
All right. That's all we'll take on the program for today. See you tomorrow. Remember, the Polity reaches you live from Abuja, 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Every weekday. See you tomorrow. Bye for now. I'm Amadin Ogbewe.